All right. Hi there, Unite for Our Community. Sue Weldon here. I am with Sean and Tracy Coyle from the Goat's Beard. We were just live on our Pink Invitational page. So, user error always, right? So now we're back. We're ready to see what you prepared. And you know what, Tracy, I would love for you to share that story again, because I want everybody to hear about how you sort of named Goat's Beard. I found it to be an unusual name. And when you told me the story, I just thought it was so great. So Tracy,
Sure.
thanks for joining us.
Sure, thanks for having me. So the goat's beard name came from a perennial plant in our garden, in our old house. About 7 years ago, I had gotten, or actually about 10 years ago, I had gotten a little perennial plant called a goat's beard, and they're native to Pennsylvania. And I had been moving it around my garden every spring. I would pick a new spot for it where it would get adequate light and whatnot. So it was just a plant that I've had for a long time. So after a couple of cocktails on the patio, when Sean and I were brainstorming, I said, what about the goat's beard? Who doesn't want to go to the goat? Let's go to the goat. And it all just sort of,
so good.
Made total sense. But
At first, it didn't make total sense. At first, it was a crazy name. But after a couple weeks, I actually brought it to my investment group, my partners, and I said, "What do you think about the goat's beard?" And the only answer I got was, "I don't think so." And so after about a month, we figured out we could brand it. We figured out it actually worked really well within the fabric of what we were trying to do, and having something that was native to Pennsylvania and local in the idea kind of worked out. And then we got a cute little logo, and we kind of worked it out and realized that once you took the association of a weird name, once you walked into the place and had the food and saw the atmosphere, which is a little bit different than what you probably expect, you totally change your concept of what the goat's beard is. And that's kind of how it worked out.
Oh, I love it. And it's your community, right? I mean, it's indigenous to our area, that plan, and you're like just building the community around. And I love the story. Thanks for sharing. And Goat's Beard, you guys have been around, what, 7 years in Manayunk? Is that right?
Manayunk, 4 years in Wayne. Doing well.
Yeah, so good, so good. Well, tell me a little bit about, everybody's shifting now, right, Sean? And thinking about what you're doing, I thought it was really unique what you chose tonight, because it is a part of that shift during COVID and how you're just bringing yourself, into the community to make it easy for those people to be able to just get your great food.
Well, sweetie, we had to pivot pretty hard because we are a composed dining restaurant. Like, all of our food is multiple ingredients and takes a lot of technique to do, kind of, even though it's casual food, it's difficult. It's pretty difficult to execute, and it didn't really work so well with what was going on with the takeout scenario and what happened with COVID and how we had to pivot. So I talked to my chef Joel, and I said, "Listen, he's a huge barbecue guy, so we moved to barbecue, and he could do a lot on his smoker and at the Manayunk Goat's Beard." And I, being home with kids and Tracy for a little bit, I was like, you know what? I've always been a pizza guy. I always loved pizza. I always wanted to be kind of like, when I go to sleep at night, I dream about pizza. And I was like, I'm doing it. Now I have the time. I have 2 12-table restaurants that are trying to do their best, in this world. And let's just fight and figure something out that you can do first off at home. So that's where it started. So me and my 14-year-old stepdaughter and my little mini monkey and Tracy, we started doing some doughs and started just playing around, and it kind of got good. And I brought on a couple guys that are pizza experts to teach me, and we did a day-to-day, and it was kind of turned into a labor of love. I have way too much to say about it, but I'm really excited about it.
Awesome, right? It's Detroit style, right? So it's not
Detroit style pizza. It's not standard pizza. It's not anything you're getting anywhere else on the main line or in Manayunk. And it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
And number 4, so I bought a pizza oven. It comes next week, like the 14th in Wayne. We started. Like, we're awesome. Really excited.
It's really good. And I have to, I just want to share a little bit how we got to know each other, because Tracy, you're now in our program, right, Tracy? And I'm just so happy we're able to serve you and in such an impactful way. And Sean is related to Meredith. That's your sister. And Meredith from Anu has been a part of our Unite for Our community for so long. And of course, she called me, and we're just so grateful that, we're able to deliver everything that we do for our women and get you what you need during this time. So, I'm humbled that you're here with us to do this, segment, and with a smile on your face. And just thank you for doing that for us.
Oh, no, thanks for having us.
Yeah. All right. Should we get into some cooking?
Are you ready?
I'm ready. I'm going to switch the camera. Huh?
Okay, I'm ready. I'm going to give the camera to Kate.
Let's do it. Yeah.
I don't know who's watching. I'm going to pretend everybody's watching. I'm going to pretend there's a million people. And the first part of pizza, obviously, the most important part of pizza is the dough. And I think that's the only thing we have figured out. Now, the most important part of our pizza is this pan. This is a 2.5 by 10 by 14-inch Lloyd pan. That's a Detroit-style pizza pan. What? When it comes around, I'm going to show you a lot of. You can bring it up here. I'm going to show you. After we start it, I'm going to show you the one that we're making right now before, as it goes in the oven. But importantly, you can do this pizza at home without this pan, but it really adds. So you go to lloydpans.com, you go to Amazon, grab one of these, grab 2 of them, and what I'm going to teach you is 4 doughs that can last you probably 4 days. And you probably put 2 in these things, and they'll cost you $50-$60.
Nice. So say that one more time, Sean. Is that Lloyd?
Lloyd Pans. Go to Amazon. Go to lloydpans.com. Ask for Karen Wolf. I just bought 60 of these things. They're incredible, and they don't go bad. This thing will keep the heat on a lot of different things. My chefs are now at Wayne are doing a upside down pineapple cake that sizzles that sugar and creates a crust that's incredible, which they didn't have before this thing. And they kind of just pulled it off the rack and like, let me try it in here, and it really works. It's just because of it gets so hot in there. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's all about the tools, right? Like you have
everything's about the tools.
Yeah, awesome.
Everything's about the tools, and the technique. So come on over here, Kate. All right, as we said, the most important part of this thing is the dough. Candidly, I will tell you that I've probably done 500 to 600 of these doughs in the last 3 months because I am obsessed, and I think we figured the dough out. The sauce and the cheese and the ratio of what I'm trying to do to make a pizza for the general public is a lot harder than what you're trying to do at home. Most people know exactly what they want. They want a little bit of spice, they want a little bit of sweet, and they can take a can of, I don't know, whatever they call it, a ragu or something like that, and they can figure that out. But what I will offer you my ideas on the sauce, but the dough is really what's so important. You want the crispy outside, the light inside, and that's what those pans offer. And I'm going to show you exactly how to make it right now.
Awesome. Right. Awesome.
Are you ready? Okay.
We're ready.
Important. So you want to start with, let's just say 800 grams of cold water. So you're putting this in your regular dough mixer. I got this cute little thing right here. Let's go that way.
Yeah, and I think if you leave, Sean, if you leave the laptop steady, it won't be as blurry. So the steadier we can have the laptop, because we don't want to miss anything.
Okay, let's put it right there.
Awesome. And the grams, when you're saying grams, so you're using a scale, and it seems to be a game changer when people use a scale for measuring.
Hugely important. Hugely important when you come to baking. When you come to other stuff, it's not that important. But with baking, it's you have to get down to the most minimal ounce, gram, some of the smallest measurements, so you don't mess it up. Most other stuff besides baking, you can mess with and twist and mess and throw different ounces around. But with this, I think to get the actual, and I've worked every scenario out. Grams is the best, easiest way to do it.
Nice.
You do need a nice scale. So we're doing 800 grams of. It's like 38-degree water, and the reason we use the cold water is because it makes the dough a little more malleable, and you can work it a little bit better. So you throw the 800 grams of water in. And it's going to sound crazy, but again, I've done it a ton of times, and you probably can throw it all in at once, but it doesn't work that well. So I do sugar, which is 12.5 grams of sugar. I do half of my 41 or 42 grams of olive oil. Save that guy for later. I do a little bit of the salt. Save that guy for later too. And then I mix it up just a little bit. Just to get it going. And I don't know, I was always taught to put the yeast in first. And then when I had my meetings with my pizza guys, they're like, put the yeast on top of the flour. So then we put all the flour, and the flour is 1,135 grams of flour. So basically what we're doing is and this is kind of more of a advanced version of pizza making, but we're at a 70% hydration rate. And a lot of the thin pizzas are more of a 65, 63. But ours, because we use so much yeast, we need a little more hydration to get a little more rise, because that's what we're looking for. So we put the 1,135 grams in. All set. And then we throw all of the 7 grams of cold yeast on top, instant active yeast on top.
So are you keeping your yeast in the refrigerator, Sean?
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was a mistake I made. But once you use it, you got to keep it going because it starts growing. So you got to keep it if you want to keep it good.
Yep.
For the first minute, I'm going to bring you up here. For the first minute, you just kind of let it attach. I'd like to tell you this is very important. But what's important is the actual grams and when. I can only say that because of how much I've done and seen, and just the little differences it makes on every piece. I think it's physics. I'm not sure, but so you see it starting to attach, starting to connect.
Yep.
Once that starts to connect, then you add the rest of the oil on the sides. Sorry. Just the salt. And you're good. So now you let it go. And once you hit a minute, once it hits that, and the reason I'm showing you this and making you crazy is because you have to look at it and see it.
Yeah, no, I feel like our community loves that because then you can really get an idea. Making the dough, it is a science. I mean, just the order that you put the ingredients in, like I totally get it.
It's huge. It's huge. So this is going to start. So you put on the next highest rung, not too fast, but let it play around for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Okay.
I'm gonna let that go. I kind of want to bring you around to one of the pizzas that we started already, while this thing moves. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm trying to keep it straight, flat. So when we get to putting the pizzas in, I already have this one prepared for you. This is one of our pepperonis. What I'm going to show you before the end of the night is our white pizza, which is this guy. So both obviously totally different, but once the dough comes out, it's going to look like this. We're going to get to that. I'm going to give you a sneak preview while this thing works itself out.
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that you have it all staged for us. It's awesome.
Huh? Not yet. Okay, so this is the most important part, right? So it's kind of sticking to the sides, which is imperative.
Yeah.
All right, looks good. Based on the exact science, I'm not quite positive yet, but I want to show you what happens, Kate. This is going to be So an important piece of this whole thing is I told you about hydration, right? I said it's 70% hydration. We're 70% hydration, but when you want to work this dough, you want to work it with very oily hands, which add to the hydration, but also adds to ease of manipulation, which makes it pretty simple to work at home. So you take this guy, you're going to take all the dough you can off here. Now remember, this recipe that I sent you, Susan, gets you 4 doughs.
And then you can actually take the dough, separate them, put them in the fridge for how long? So that you can use it for later or no?
Well, for the restaurant?
For home.
Right, for the restaurant we do 2 to 5 days. For home, you can do this after 3 hours. But you do have to let it rest. You do have to let it grow, and you do have to play with it. So I'm actually going to do, I want you to see exactly how we manipulate it. Because it's of a ton of importance. So you have to make sure your hands are nice and lubed with that oil, and you just kind of mess with it. Right? Nice. Bring it up, long way, bring it down, long ways, bring it up, and then you kind of just let it sit, right? So I'm going to get to the most important piece of that later, but it's imperative you do it a certain way towards the end. Right now, you can let it grow. You just want to kind of get it into a bowl, and we're going to cover that and come back to it. So it's kind of a pain in the hiney, all the work needs to get done, but it is worth it, and it's only about 10 minutes of it.
I know when, just so you know too, Sean, when your camera is still, it's crystal clear. So it looks so good. I can see the dough rising. You're putting something over top now?
Putting over to cover it while we go start the sauce. We're going to come back and work it a little bit. And then we're going to do the same thing again twice before we get into the balls where they can start growing for themselves. So.
I love that idea with the bowl upside down. You know, during COVID, we were all trying to make our own bread or focaccia. We were doing all kinds of stuff. And all those tricks from the olive oil in the hands, covering it with a bowl, like all of that is so key.
Well, it's funny. That's what my chefs say. My chefs say that this is close to a focaccia style bread. And again, I don't know too much about it, but what we don't do is too much oil on top afterwards or add the rosemary or anything like that. But it's crispy on the outside, fluffy on the inside. So it is really similar to a focaccia.
Nice.
I don't know the working moves of focaccia, but when you taste this, we're actually thinking about making something a little bit more doughy, and then create a panini with it because it's so light and fluffy for a sandwich or a panini or something else like that.
Yeah, beautiful.
So as far as the sauce, as I said before, it's all personal preference, really. I'm trying to make a world make a flavor that's palatable for everybody. Then they can add something if they want spice or they want to take something off it. Or I want to create like a base level. At home, you can do what you please, right?
Yeah, totally.
But the base really is peeled tomatoes, which I have right here. I'm going to turn this on.
And we had a couple questions. Dina Lopez, she was saying that, where is Goat's Beard? Well, there's one in Wayne and there's one in Manayunk. So that's two locations.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And do you know Stephen DeLong? He said hola.
Oh, did he? Yeah. He's our GM in Wayne. He's hanging out. Hi, buddy.
Yeah.
Don't you judge me, buddy. All right, so we go. I use 6-to-1 peeled tomatoes at the stores. Peeled tomatoes is fine. Just dump those guys in, and this will get you enough sauce. It'll probably get you about 2 quarts, which is enough for your 4 pizzas. Nice. If you're just looking for a red sauce, then we do just a tomato sauce, the whole thing. Well, these are quart.
Do you have a preference on brand that you like? I know that.
Anything you can find in the store. Then you add another can of water of the same size, and then a tablespoon of tomato paste. And with that, You let that play. And this can be a 20-minute scenario, but I suggest it to be a little bit more than that. I think it should be a 2 or 3 hour scenario where you let all the ingredients come into play. So I take a handful of uncut basil, throw that in, some garlic olive oil, just to taste, again.
Now, are you infusing your own olive oil there, Sean? Like, are you just?
Yeah, my father-in-law he grows garlic.
I love that.
So
it's wild how garlic grows, right? Like I love doing that where you can pop them in just like the tip first, and then it has this beautiful garlic scape, and then the beautiful flower.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Yeah,
and it helps to flavor this because it adds a little pop to it. Then it's really, I would say it's two teaspoons of oregano, two teaspoons of garlic powder, but it's up to you. You can do what you want.
Yep.
There's not.
I think once you get the crust down, right? Like it's
it's whatever you like. And I had a little bit of red, crushed red pepper because I like it a little spicy. You don't have to. It's just kind of what you feel is, what your taste buds are. So you just mix it up, let it go, and let that play for a couple. It can be, again, 45 minutes, but I think the more you let it go, the better it's going to taste. You're gonna release the tomato taste, get all the other ingredients involved, and they're going to start making bigger players out of themselves. That's enormous. I have tomatoes here for that. Mine, I wish I could show you. Mine, after, looks a little bit like that. It's thick, and it's hearty, and it's got a lot of flavor to it.
Nice.
As we move back, because we can't.
That almost looked like a really heavy, almost paste. It was that thick.
Well, yeah, it gets pretty thick. Now, for this Detroit style pizza, you put it on at the end, so it's important that it's not, too watery. It's got to be kind of hearty. Don't forget to oil your hands.
Yep. Good tip.
So you go back to the dough and you start working the dough. You kind of want to take it from the short side and drop it and work it. Short side, drop it, work it.
Nice.
And it starts getting a shine created that it's about done. Now this is not close, but you can already see it coming together.
And then you said that sits for how many hours, Sean?
Well, no. So once you're done this manipulation to get the gluten rising and get everything going, it can be ready to go in 3 hours.
Nice.
I suggest a 2-day turnaround, but it can work after 2 hours if you work it well enough. So now we got it. Now it's starting to move. It's starting to get a little tighter. I'm going to cover it again. And we're going to go to the pepperoni. I hope I'm not making crazy with moving this thing all the time.
No, when your camera's still, you're really good and crystal clear, and you're doing a great job for us, so I appreciate that.
Okay, so this is the pepperoni. So this is the par-cooked dough, which is what your dough is going to turn out. I'm going to tell you how to make your dough turn out. You want it to have a little crispiness on the bottom when you're done. I'll show you how to do that. That's how it starts. What we're going to do at the goat is we're going to make 100 of these and have them wrapped, and then put them in the pan, and then cheese them up. 13.5 ounces of cheese, a bunch of pepperoni, some oregano, and shove them in the oven at 485. So you want to preset your oven to 485. Let it sit there for 20 minutes to get nice and hot. I'm going to put this in right now, so when we're done, you can see exactly what it looks like. I'm also going to do a white pizza for you before we're done to show you what that looks like too.
Nice. Yeah. We have Karen Gibson. Hi, Karen, watching. So good. And she's wanted to know what makes the Cincinnati-style pizza, what makes that unique. So it's the deep
Detroit?
Detroit, yeah.
Well, honestly, it's the pan. It's a pan pizza, similar to, I don't know if you know what a pan pizza is. Similar to Chicago style, that's deep dish. This is a pan style non-deep dish. It's more of a thicker dish. So it's not New York. It's the middle. It's between New York and Chicago. So, so if you look at it, it's an inch thick, right?
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is when you put it in that pan and you cover the cheese around it. So you take this piece, you put cheese all around it, and once that cooks at a certain degree, the cheese actually creates an edge that's, I wouldn't say burnt, but it's caramelized, and that cheese turns into a cheesy crust. So you have a cheesy crust outside and a fluffy dough inside. So it's almost like perfect. So you don't have, it's never too doughy. It's a nice solid. It doesn't drip. It's just a nice solid chunk of pizza, but you have that cheesy crust and that light airy dough in the middle.
Yeah.
That's why
I love that light and airy. It does remind me of a focaccia a little bit.
Yeah, it's a little bit like a focaccia.
Yeah, it sounds delicious.
We're
all coming your way. Where do you live there, Sean? You have several pizzas.
We're in Wayne. We're working Wayne action here. All right, don't forget your hands. By the way, my hands have become so.
Well, they're so moisturized. You know, the Italian.
They're so lovely.
Yeah, just start moisturizing. Put it on your arms. Put it on
Yeah. It's all based on really great Italian olive oil.
Yeah.
So if you can see this, I don't know what you guys can see, but from the beginning, it was a mess getting out of the pan. You can see this was it was kind of a disaster, you know. But getting out, once you have to get your hands olive oiled up to pull it off. But now, after 8-10 minutes, it's turning into a beautiful little, wonderful, soft dough baby. And you can actually see some bubbles. Once you see the bubbles start to create, it's ready to go. So this technique right here is taught by my friend George from Riverside Pizza. It's actually an important piece to it to get it all centered. So all the weight is kind of in the middle and then centered out, you know, then brought out to beautiness. And you can see a sheen coming up. Once that sheen comes up and it starts to bubble just a little bit, it's ready to go. This is not quite ready, but it's close.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Well, then
we experimented a lot with making breads and focaccias, and that looks really good.
Yeah, it's still always a work in progress, Susan. It's always a work in progress, but it's getting pretty close. So both sauces. This is my sauce earlier. That's an 8-hour cook. This thing will get down. It's got to reduce.
Yep.
It's got to get all of that, you know, all the flavors involved. I believe it should be it's like a Sunday family project. Start in the morning. You put the sauce on. You make a couple of doughs. Let that dough rest, rise, and you have to play with it. That's something that we'll go into as soon as we get these ready. As far as the, I guess we can start with the white pizza. So the white pizza, what I did was, I had the same dough, right? We're all on the same page with the dough.
Yeah.
I got the same dough, and then I just take the 13.5 ounces of cheese. Well, before I did that, I took garlic. I took roasted garlic, and I turned it into a paste. I added olive oil, just a little bit of mayonnaise, and I just worked it with a whisk really hard. I then took that and I actually just spread it over top of the dough.
Oh, I love that.
Super easy. I mean, super easy in a restaurant, not super easy at home. So if you want to take a little bit of mayo and add garlic powder, garlic salt to it, that'd probably be the easiest way to do it. But if you're a foodie and you're a cook, just take a clove of garlic, cut the top off, or a couple of them, and put them on a sheet tray on some tin foil and bake them for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 425. Then take those cloves out, and you literally just spread them out. Add a little olive oil, very little mayo. I didn't even need to do the mayo. I did it for this to quicken it up, but it still adds a nice pop of flavor from the bottom. And then you add your 13.5 ounces of skim mozzarella.
Nice.
The important piece to this, as you're watching me do this, is getting into the sides. The sides are everything with this pizza because you want that cheese to hit every corner and every side of the pizza, so it creates that heat while it's in the oven that makes that cheesy crust. It sounds crazy and it's new to Philadelphia, but it's so important and so good. And you kind of tuck it down, right? This thing's going nice. Lower that. So that's based on toppings, right? Like you can put anything on this thing. I'm gonna put some cherry tomatoes. I got cherry tomatoes.
I love that garlic paste and everything is just like even. That flavor is so even throughout the pizza. I just love the, roasting it and smearing it on with olive oil. I think that's a great tip.
Thank you. It's a cool little pop of flavor. And by the way, at the Goat in Wayne, we use a confit, cooked in or rested in fat tomato for this dish. It's a little above my pay grade, honestly, so I didn't want to bring those. I figured at home you're not going to confit tomatoes, so I think these will do just the same. They'll do just as well. So we're also going to add literally broccoli flash. Just flash really boiled broccoli. You put it in for about a minute and a half, or not even, in boiled water. Very salted boiled water. It comes out nice. That way it's not too mushy when you put in the pizza because it's recooking again.
Yeah.
And then a very important piece is the ricotta. So you're going almost on a 4 cheese thing here. And I just take little pieces and put them in between the broccoli and the tomatoes. I probably put about 12 teaspoons on. Not too much, but just enough to give it a little creaminess it deserves. I'm going to tell you, this has turned into, and I'm not really a veggie fan, but this has turned into my favorite pizza. And actually, everyone I've given it to, I think it's that garlic. I think it's the mixture of everything, and it's got so much, it's got so much texture, and it's almost got a lot of levels to it with all the flavors.
Yeah,
anyhow, that's what it looks like. It
looks beautiful.
Really the baby in the oven's looking good. Hey Alexa, how long do we have on the? I got 4 minutes to go on the pepperoni. I'm gonna put this guy in right.
Alexa, is she a good friend?
Alexa, she's my friend. Wait, over 13 minutes. Okay, we're 13 minutes out. Let's go back to this dough real fast.
It's all about the dough.
It is. It really is. And
totally.
Like everything else is kind of just flavors. A lot of people do all the sauces and whatnot. The dough is what's so important. And when you get your hands nice and juicy with this olive oil, you can really play with it. And that cold water in the recipes, so important. And if your kitchen's hotter, you want to use colder water. If your kitchen's warmer, you want to kind of use. If your kitchen's warmer, use colder water. If your kitchen's cold, use a little warmer water. But you want it around 40 degrees, so you can play with this dough. It's hugely important. And there's a little trick. My buddy George told me that if you can pull the dough, and pull it around and not see through it when it gets really thin, it's ready to go. And this is ready to go. So what we're going to do now, as you've seen, we've done this manipulation. I think this is the 3rd time. But what's happened is that you can see. I'm going to get this closer. I have all this basil here, but I want you to see this a little closer.
Yeah, your camera angle is great. We can really see it well.
This move, when you do this, is important. It gets kind of playing with it underneath your pinkies and then flipping it out. That gets that central weight division like almost perfect. You want to get a perfect circle almost. But you can almost see this guy, the sheen on it.
Yep.
It looks wonderful. You probably can't see because it's little the bubbles that are created, but you know then it's ready to go. And then all you do literally is get a scale, measure to 17.25 ounces, oil it and put it in the pan. We're gonna do that right now real fast, okay?
So that is enough for 4 pizzas right there, right?
Yeah, so this is gonna create 4 17.25 ounce pizzas that are gonna go perfectly into that pan.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. So with the 1,135 grams of flour, the 800 grams of water, it turns into this, and it's a 2.5 pound recipe, and it actually makes, you might have a little bit extra, which if you want to throw back in one of them that have 18 ounces, you're good. But 17.25 ounce in those pans works out perfectly to get the exact dough that we're trying to create the goat. You might want more doughy, then make it 18, 19 ounces and have one small guy, but this gets you pretty much at 17.25 with very, very little wastage.
Yeah, and you're truly giving us your recipe, right?
I know. Let me tell you something.
You know, no secret here.
But let's see how pretty it is. Like, you can play with this guy. Like,
yeah.
He's got a lot of oomph to him. He's not weak. Like, he's ready to go. All right, so I'm gonna show you exactly how to play with this. Kate, how long do we have on that pepperoni? All right, so basically, and I'm not going to weigh it for you right here, but you're going to need a scale. So you take a 17 ounce dough, right? That's pretty close. And if you want to use it that day, that's fine. We do the same thing with it again. Get it all worked up. Okay. Right, so you got this beautiful, beautiful baby dough. Oh, sorry. Got this beautiful baby dough right here, right?
Yep.
So take that oil on this pan, put it on the bottom. Or, you know what, you don't have to put it in this pan. We do it at the restaurants, but you don't have to do it here. You can put it in any tin, any bowl, because you're going to have to let it rise. And it's going to take 3 hours to rise the most. I like a 2-day. It's ready. I like a 2-day only because it matures a little bit and it gets a little fluffy. But if you're ready, if you do this at 10 or 11 in the morning and you want a 5 o'clock pizza with the family, it totally works. You take that little 17 ounce, place it in here, and then you have to oil the top. Yeah, let's see the pizza. Pizza's almost ready.
Nice. You got the whole family working there with you.
They're awesome. I need them.
Nice. Beautiful.
Right. I'll let that sit for a second. Keep that there, brother. Please don't touch it. So you have this beautiful little baby dough right here, and you oil the top, and then you wrap it in saran wrap. And you wrap it tight here and tight around here, and just let it sit for 3 to 5 hours. Or 2 to 5 days. But after 3 hours, you can play with it. Before that, it's kind of useless. Not useless, it'll still be good. But once you take it out, it's going to grow a little bit from its top layer, and you're going to have to work it to the sides of the pan, and that's going to take some time. But I want it wrapped. I want you to put it in a cold refrigerator. You know, our refrigerators are 40 degrees-ish. Throw it in there, wrap it tight, give it a couple hours, let it grow a little bit, and start playing with it. But what I want you to do towards the end is, when you're ready to use it, is get that dough to the sides as far as you can. Let it sit, put it out, let it sit and play with it. Go from the middle towards each end to get it to all these sides of this pan. Ooh.
Nice.
But I want it in the middle when you wrap it. Okay.
Sean, you're a great teacher. I'll tell you, I'm intrigued. It's really good to practice these skills because it does make a difference. You know, the way that you let it rise, the way that you work it, how long you sit, it all makes a difference.
It does. It makes a huge difference, and I think especially with dough. Again, like we said, baking is a science. Cooking is taste.
Yep.
But with baking stuff, you have to have a process that's fully in place that you do exactly the same time everybody to get the same result, right?
Totally.
It's not that difficult, but it is important to know that result or know that process. All right, come on over here. So I just want to show you this pizza and how you get it out of the pan. Okay, how long do we have on the other? Okay, we have 6 minutes for the other pizza. I did thick cut pepperoni. I usually do 12 slices. I only put 9 on here. I don't know why. I'm still working on that. But you see, if you look, you can see I'm cutting into that cheesy goodness. Like that beautiful cheesy goodness. Hey, Trace, can you get me a cutting board I can put this on? I'm coming back. So that was at 485 for 12 minutes on a par cooked dough. So on a dough that looks like this. So what I do is I put these doughs in this pan, cook them for 10 minutes, create that beautiful base, and then I wrap them.
Oh, nice.
For 2 weeks, 3 weeks. They don't go back because they're already cooked. I
love that idea. Then you do like all your work in the beginning, and then just right.
Yeah, and if you double the recipe to 5 pounds, you can make 8 or 10 of those, one day, and then you can, when you come home from work with kids, you can throw one in, throw some cheese and pepperoni on it, and you have a pizza in 11 minutes. So this guy went from that dough that we just made to this. This is a 485 degree for 11 minutes. And then this pizza is 485 degrees for 11 minutes. But if you just do it by itself and you just go from the dough, it's not 22 minutes. It's 16.
Okay. I know you shared the recipe, so we'll be popping that up with some photos. And
you see that cheesy crust?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Caramelized cheese that flows a little bit over. It probably could have used another minute or so in the oven.
Yeah.
So then
yeah, it looks good.
Usually important part is you don't want to chiffonade the basil. There's that chef, the French chiffonade scenario where you take you take it and you roll it up and slice it. This is more of a crunch. You want to taste this stuff. You want it different. You want it different sizes, different stuff. You kind of want it. It's kind of like a bluer collar pizza. It's Detroit style. So you throw that. I took Parmesan Reggiano right here that I shaved down for this. Can you put that right down? Put it towards the pizza. Keep going. And then we just throw the cheese on top. And it's delightful.
So you just you give us the base, and then we can do whatever we want. Tomatoes, broccoli, basil.
You can do whatever you like, as long as you have that dough ready.
Yeah.
Everything else is easy. The sauce is up to you. The cheese is up to you. I think no matter what you do, 80% mozzarella, and then you can throw anything else you want in there.
Yeah, and that garlic paste. That garlic paste was key.
So it's a nice move. Kate, how long do we have on that?
Nice move.
How long? We have 3 minutes on the broccoli. You have time to hang out?
Awesome. Totally. Yeah, I'll pop you back up side by side.
Okay. I wish you guys could eat this.
Oh, me too. I know.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. After you do that, you sauce it. Oh, my God, I'm crazy. I forget that way too often.
Was that you, Tracy, telling him, or was it?
What are you doing with the sauce, dude?
Which one reminded you? Your daughter or your wife?
Well, actually, both. We're like, what are you doing?
That's why they're there.
So the Detroit style sauce is this way. It's kind of like a diagonal move. And that's
I think you're totally onto something, just to be able to make it easy for the community to come out and carry out and, be able to really get all those incredible flavors for takeout. And they're going to hold up well.
They'll hold up. Yeah, they'll travel nicely. And, everyone loves pizza. And everyone has pizza. So I went into this idea not thinking I was going to have the best pizza, although I'm going to do my best to have the best pizza. But it's a different pizza.
So we're a little competitive.
Yeah, a little. But it's a different style of pizza that's gonna, if you love it, and I know, I've been giving it to everybody. They do have a nice affinity towards it because it's just so different.
Yeah, that's
awesome.
awesome.
Anthony's got great pizza. Christopher's has great pizza. The pub has. Everyone's got good pizza. Pizza is never not good, but this is a little bit different, a little bit special. So I hope you enjoyed. I want you to come in and have one.
I know, that was awesome. Thank you. Are we going to see that one come out of the oven as well?
It's coming right now. Katie, is it ready?
Beautiful.
It needs 1 minute. Are you ready? Can you hang on 1 minute?
Totally. And I have Jen Snyder's joined us. Hi there, Jen. And she wanted to know if you would ever just sell the dough.
Sure.
Yeah, possibly.
Yeah, we haven't gone to market yet. We go September 14th.
I hear a lot of restaurants doing that too. Like they're just innovating, just doing a lot of different ways that they can bring your good quality food to them. I think that's actually a great idea, Jen. I would, the dough is key, and if you could sell that dough, and then we get to do whatever we want,
do whatever you please. Sure, I would do that in a second. I haven't mentally gotten there yet, but I do know that a couple places around Manic are doing that, where they're offering you the dough, cheese, sauce, pepperoni, or whatever. You make your own pizza. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Good question. Thanks, Jan.
So at home, that's what you're going to look at when you bring it out. It's sizzly.
Wow.
But what you have to look at is, this is just a little under, right? So you want to see a little bit of heat here, around here. It's not too much heat, but at the same time, you want to make sure that the sides are fully caramelized, which they are. So everything else is just, personal preference. I like a little bit of heat up here, so you get little pock marks of brown.
Yeah. I love your dough scraper too. We used one of those in our last, our registered dietitians. That's key for them. Tools are key. And the dough scraper is so good for so many reasons.
Your dad was a carpenter, wasn't he?
He was. Did I tell you that?
I think so.
Oh, my God, actually made those. He made those dough scrapers.
But this is hugely important. So so 485, about 11 minutes, you're ready to roll. And when you just do the par cooked dough, it's again 485 until this guy has a little couple pock marks on it. When you pull it, and you see that, and life is good.
Yeah, the bottom looks beautiful. Purple, perfect brown, that golden brown.
A little crunch. Yeah, this guy's pretty good. We had dinner. Who wants to come over and eat this?
Well done. I know some friends in Wayne, so you pop that address up. They might be coming. We have a couple friends.
Get over here.
Yeah. Lynn is saying, it looks so good. Thanks, Lynn, for joining us. It does look good. Really great. Well, Sean, you and Tracy were just gems. The whole family was involved. Really appreciate that, joining us tonight. Anything else we talked about? Goat's Beard, we know where the name comes from. I love that. And September the 14th, is that when you're bringing in your brick ovens?
Yeah, September the 14th is when the new pizza menu starts. The pizza oven comes in a week. We're ready to rock and roll. We're going to have a whole new menu. But regardless of that, thank you so much. I love your community. I love what you've done. This is really incredible. And thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your talent. Like, that was awesome. It was like we took a class in dough making. So I really appreciate it. See? Look beautiful. Charlie, thanks for joining. Thanks for doing that nice little video with your pop. See you, Charlie. All right. That's the end of that episode. Thank you all. And we'll see you for our next one. Thanks.
Well,
you have a good night.
You too.
Okay, bye-bye. All right, there we go. Another episode in the books. Thanks for joining. And that was just awesome. What a good teacher. Like, I really learned a lot from him. We'll have the recipe. We'll have some photos, and you can just make it yourself. And Jan, I loved your idea. He totally should sell that dough. People would buy that. Yeah. All right. See you guys. Thanks for joining.